You're on.
All righty, good morning. Welcome to our second Saturday morning top tier talk here in 2022. Today is, what is today? January 22nd, I believe. And yeah, welcome to those of you who are able to make it live. Again, I know takes adjusting your calendar and all of that good stuff, but we figured we would test out Saturdays. We used to get really, really good attendance on Saturdays, and then we switched to Mondays, and attendance kind of started to dwindle here in the last year or so. So we're going back to Saturday and see if we can kind of rekindle the fire for some of you to be able to show up live. If you work a typical 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job, this will obviously be a time that you can make. Maybe we change it up again in the summertime when people are doing more things on Saturdays than they probably are doing now. We'll see. We'll play that by ear. But anyway, we got a bunch of things to kind of cover here. First of all, the training site is back up if you didn't know that. I put a message in the Skype room and might have also sent an email out. But yeah, the training site was definitely hacked, at least according to GoDaddy. Michael and I bought some sort of security thing. I don't really know. But anyway, it's back up. And, and don't be too concerned. The training site doesn't have any real personal information. It's got your name and your email address. So that's all over the place anyway. So, no personal information. I don't know why anybody would want to hack it, to be honest. I don't really understand why they would want to do that, but they did.
Because they don't have a life.
Who knows? It's not like they can really get anything, unless they want to access all of our, all of our training or something. I have no idea. Anyway, okay, moving on. The live webinar, we held that on Wednesday. We do it the third Wednesday of every month. And our attendance and, attendance in general on these things is pretty low, but just looking at registrations and that type of thing, it just doesn't look like anybody's really utilizing this. And I just want to tell you, and this has been the case ever since I got involved in this business model, and really ever since I got involved online, going all the way back to 2009, either webinars or live opportunity calls have been the way to really recruit in this business, more so than the static website and, all of that, because people like live. Now, not everybody shows up to live, but the people that do show up to live events are way more likely to sign up than those who don't. I talk about using this live webinar as part of a major part of your business plan, but that's up to you. We can't force you to do it. We hold a live event because, well, I use it. That's how I've built my business so many years. So, I think it's really important. We are considering, again, going back to a call because, our demographic, our target demographic tends to skew a little bit older, and, even attending a Zoom webinar, can be maybe too tech heavy for some people. So we're considering going back to an opportunity call where all they got to do is dial a phone number. We can run it live, we can run it recorded, whatever the case is. So we'll get back to you on that, but I kind of really want to test it out because they're effective. And I was talking to somebody who's in a different top tier business a couple of weeks ago, and that's what they do. And they're having a lot of success just running a call. They don't do any webinars or anything like that. So maybe test out a call, see if that works. Whereas you're not sending them to a link, you're just sending them to a phone number to actually call with their landline or whatever, however they want to call, and listen to a 30-minute opportunity call. Anyway, that's something that's a maybe, but as a definite, you definitely want to send out the replay of this week's live webinar, because it's letting your list, the people in your autoresponder, know that we had a live event, know that we are still open for business, and that there are, other people on the team other than you. Quite honestly, is another kind of objection that is silently overcome in their minds. The webinar replay is on your replay page. So when you set up your websites, or your sponsor set up your websites when you get started, you have one that is replay.whatever your domain is.com. That's the link that has the recorded webinar on it, or the recorded live webinar, I should say. Send that out to your list, saying, hey, not sure if you were able to make it or not, but we had a dynamic webinar this past Wednesday. The bonus that's mentioned in the webinar is, can't be beat. Watch it and then get a hold of me to answer your questions. Just something pretty simple like that. And you'll be amazed at the results that you can have using that tool.
Yeah, and just to jump in, can you hear me, Steve?
Yep.
I don't know, ever since the whole pandemic craziness happened, more of my sales have been coming from my pipeline than the bonus. So that's why it's important to resend out that live webinar and do email blasts besides the autoresponder, because that's called working your pipeline or working your list. If people are kind of broke, especially because of COVID, they've been laid off their businesses, or they're scared and really holding on to the money they have, sometimes a bonus doesn't hit home with those people. I remember a friend of mine about 10 years ago, he knows I'm a Ferrari junkie and I love Ferraris. And he calls up, he says, hey man, I'm getting rid of my Ferrari and I could trade it in, but I know you like Ferraris, and this Ferrari was 190 grand, but I'm gonna, and it's like 7 years old, and I'm gonna sell it for like 75 grand. I didn't have the 75 grand. So that deal, which was an incredible deal, I couldn't take advantage of. And it hit me one day, like, when you offer somebody amazing deals, I mean, amazing, if the guy just doesn't have the mindset or he doesn't have the money, they just can't take advantage of it. But when they're in your pipeline, they may be broke, but they're getting your constant communications over and over again. You're dripping your promotion, you're trickling it, dripping it, and they see it over and over and over again. And that starts changing their mindset. And eventually they figure out a way to get the money to come in, where the 48-hour thing, they can't figure out a way to do that. Now, some people can. I've seen miracles happen with people that really want that 48-hour bonus, and they'll go through hell and high water to do it. But that's why it's important to keep promoting to your pipeline to get some of those people that are highly interested but couldn't figure out how to take advantage of the bonus.
Yeah, well said. That's a really good point. Yeah, so it's right. It's not always pushing the bonus, I suppose. And another thing that your constant follow-up will do, like John said, we have people that join from our pipeline all the time, and people that have been on the list in some cases for years.
Yeah.
Right. So the longer you're in this business, and the longer that the autoresponders stop after 2.5 months, right? They're done. The longer you keep promoting to your list and you keep sending out emails, and if you promote to them any other way, great. But most of us are using emails. The other kind of objection maybe that it overcomes, or the light that goes on in a prospect's mind, is this has got to be working. This guy's still doing this business, right? He's still promoting the same thing. Whereas, if you're familiar with the home business industry at all, and maybe you're not, if this is the first thing you've ever been in, but people are always looking for the next shiny object, right? And they're, even if you're on a list of somebody who is supposedly a top earner, you know, they're promoting one thing one week and the next week they're in something else. And after a while, you start to realize, well, they're probably not making great money if they keep bopping to the next thing, right? So, you know, having some consistency and some stability builds credibility in your prospects' minds. So that's another reason to stick with it and not to quit, even if things are not going exactly according to plan, because, you know, by doing that, you build that, you know, that stability and that consistency. I remember when I first got started and, you know, I was looking at people that had been in the business or been in businesses or been online longer than me. And I was like, man, I don't really have a lot of credibility because I just started doing this. And, you know, now it's 12 years later. So, you know, you just stick with it. You know, eventually, you know, you start to really build up that credibility and that sustainability or that stability and credibility that go a long way in your prospects' minds to making you someone who's credible and somebody that they believe can help them. Anyway, moving along to point number 3, consistent, successful actions. And we've done this before. And, you know, if you're new, we're going to do it now. And if you're been a member for a while, we're going to do it again because it's important. You know, these are really the things that you got to do, you know, at least from our experience, to be successful. And John, Mr. Mindset, I'll throw it over to you.
Yes, the first thing I put up there is mindset, and the second thing, mechanics. Mindset and mechanics. What are those? Well, any and every successful person in any walk of life, if you were to talk to them for any length of time or know anything about them, they either naturally had or have studied and developed a success mindset. And the success mindset, there was a movie that came out a long time ago that got to be real famous. It was a bit glib, but it was it helped people look at it, called The Secret. And The Secret's really about mindset and the law of attraction, as they call it. And sometimes especially athletes, they call it visualization. You visualize the end result of your goal. And you keep that in your mind. God, what would it be like if I did win that Grammy? What would my friends be saying about me? Or if I won that gold medal, what kind of endorsements would I get? And the whole idea of visualizing the ideal scene, you know, let's say you're a mountain climber and you're going to climb Mount Everest. I remember this first guy that climbed Mount Everest without oxygen, which was like amazing, to be in the death zone from 21,000 feet to 29,000 feet with no oxygen. But he got all these endorsements afterwards and went on to be a million. It's crazy, right? So when you envision your goal, your desire, your ideal scene in any walk of life, and you hold it there mentally in your universe, it excites you. And then you sort of start getting the feel like, wow, what would that be like if I was making, like in this business, what would it be like if I was a successful life LCG rep and I was making 10 grand a month? What would my life be like? Would my wife like me more? Or would my husband like me more? What would I be able to do? Would I be able to get that house? Would I become debt free? I would go to bed every night not being stressed out, 10 plus grand a month. Wow. So an example, therefore, of having the correct mindset is you literally state as already done your goal. Like, I want to be a successful LCG rep who earns 10 grand a month. It's not as good as obviously I am. But people have trouble with stating something that's not true in the physical universe. They go, I am a successful LCG rep who earns, so, well, that's not true. And the mind gives you all kinds of pushback. Well, if you can't hold the ideal thing as it's done and experience it mentally, which is your B, then you don't end up doing the right do and you don't have the have. They call that be, do, have. It's not the opposite way where people go, well, geez, if I had $3,000 a month to promote, I could buy all these leads and I could hire somebody to call the leads and I could do this. And then I would be able to, if I had that money, I'd be able to do all that. And then I would be successful. See, that's backwards. That's not how success works. You have to be the success in your mind, which is your belief system, your thoughts, your mental universe, as some people say, and believe it. What's the old biblical paraphrase? Believe in what's in your heart, you shall receive. Not believe and you'll receive, because if you believe but then have doubts, it's not going to work. So believe in what's in your heart, meaning you really sincerely believe it. So a mindset exercise to do is to state in this business why you got in and what you want to achieve. So this is just an example. You could state, I am a successful LCG rep who earns, and then plug in your own money, 20 grand a month, 5 grand a month. And don't look at reality. What your senses tell you is, no, that's probably going to be too hard, or I don't. No, don't worry about that. You're visualizing this as it's already done. So I started this years ago, and because I've got several streams of income, and every hat that I have, whether it's jazz musician, music teacher, LCG rep, author, I envision what I want out of that hat, and I make the statement. So if on the author, I have a brand new book out on this whole concept called The Invisible Architect, where I explain this in detail, highly recommend it. But when I released that book, I stated, I am a successful mindset author who earns X amount of dollars a month. And within 5 or 6 days after its release, it became an Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. It's selling, and now I'm going to the next step, etc. And when I got into this business, I was coming from a failed, an MLM that then started to fall apart. And I found Steve online. And once I saw the high ticket opportunity and 2 or 3 sales could make 10 grand a month, I made a statement, I'm a successful, that we had a different name again. I'm a successful PNG rep who makes 10 grand a month, and lo and behold, that eventually happened. So mindset is your beliefs, your attitude, and the statement of what you want to achieve. So I highly recommend that's your first step in this business, because I've seen people work their butt off and do all kinds of things and nothing happens because they don't really believe in it. And belief is really important. B, mechanics. The mechanics are all the things that you should be doing. If you had a regular job and you were starting your job, they would start your onboarding process and they would tell you what your job prescription, your job description is, what you're supposed to be doing every day when you come into work. If it's mortgage broker, okay, you have to call these many people a day, here's your leads, and then you need to follow up, and they train you on that, how to do that. Your job description here is these things. I'm not necessarily in any order of importance, but highly recommend you attend weekly meetings or at least listen to the recording, because there's going to be valuable information there. And B, it's going to keep you enthusiastic about the business and your mindset. Use the
that's a big one that a lot of people drop the ball on, and it's part of the new rep orientation video that everybody should watch, when they get started. But what we found over the years, and congratulations to those of you who are either here or are watching this. Obviously, the ones who aren't are never going to know we're talking about them anyway. But the people that make money in this business and that are successful, stay on top of what's going on. And, when we hold these weekly meetings, sometimes we're talking about, what's going on in the business. Sometimes we're training on a specific topic, it varies. But I'll tell you, and, maybe this guy will end up watching this video here shortly because he does want to get back involved. But I got an email to the admin account this past week about how this member, who is, still an active member as far as paying the monthly admin fee, can't access the Prosperity Nexus site and what's going on. And so I let them know that, we haven't been Prosperity Nexus since
Yeah.
since the summer of 2020. We're looking at about, 18, 19 months. And yeah, that site doesn't even exist anymore. And
Yeah, because he missed
So,
the training. He missed
That's
the
an-
announcement.
that's an example of, not staying on top of the business and, on top of your business. And hey, it's up to each individual person, right? You pay good money to get started with us. And so it's up to you what you do. Nobody's going to tell you or force you to do anything. But I'm just saying, if it was me and I dropped, I don't know what membership he was at. I don't remember, but I don't care if I drop $995, right? I'm going to stay on top of things because I want to get my money back. I want to make my money back. And
then
I'm
some.
going to do well, yeah. I mean, initially you want to make your money back and then kind of go from there. That's how I've always looked at it anyway. But yeah, you got to stay on top of things at the very least. So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, those that show up,
Sorry.
go up. When you're active, we see you're active. The leaders know your name. In other words, you're part of the group, and things tend to happen. Use the live webinar, and we may start a phone call to send your prospects to. Always, there's no excuse for not announcing the live webinar when it comes up to your list. I don't care if you have 10 people on your list, 50 on your list, or thousands like Steve and I have on our list. You announce it. And after it, you then announce that the replay is available. So use the live webinar, send out an auto blast using your marketing site. If you still don't know how to do that, call your sponsor and we'll help do that. Plus there's training on how to do that on your training site, how to send out a webinar to all your people and get creative with it. I have fun with it. I'll throw in artwork in there and think about what I want to say to my list. If I was on the list, what would make me open this up and get creative?
That's a big key when people are wondering, like, what subject line should I use? What should I put in the email? What would work for you? So I always think, what would work for me, because I know I'm not a complete weirdo, and if I like it and if it attracts me, it's going to attract other people. Is it going to attract everybody? No, of course not. But it's going to attract some people. It's going to make some people open the email if this subject line would get me to open it. And if the body of the email is going to get me to click the link, well, then it's going to work for other people as well. That's what I always think. And I think for everybody on the team, probably that same concept will work for you as well.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people don't use the internet, which is a library of amazing data. You could go Google and say, open subject lines, and you wouldn't believe how many sites would come up to tell you about how to get higher opening rates. And they've got subject lines for days, holiday sale, 50% off, or it might be something like, are you sick of being broke yet, John? So,
I just got something. I forwarded it to John this week, but
oh yeah, I saw that.
I'm a member. I'm a member of Lead Pages. Lead Pages allows you to create websites on the fly and stuff like that. And so I've been a member with them for a few years now, and they send out these emails every once in a while, or pretty regularly actually, that are productive. How to be more productive and how to have more success and that type of thing. And the one this week was make sure you have pictures of yourself, in your
action.
emails,
Yeah.
and obviously you have one on your website. If you don't, make sure you do have a clear image on your website. I see people, the pictures like so blurry, like you didn't take a better picture of yourself than that.
Yeah.
And same thing with your emails, because it gets people, and think about yourself when you're opening emails and stuff and you're buying things, other than Amazon, which I guess is, they don't need to be personal anymore. But, if you buy stuff from any smaller stores or that type of thing, where, when you see a picture of the owner or, the person that's sending you the email, it immediately personalizes it. And then a couple weeks ago, we talked about videos and personalized videos, and that takes it another step further. Whereas, I know with me, I like to go to certain YouTube sites, and, after a while, you feel like this person. It's crazy, but, that's where we are in 2022. So the more you can personalize your messages, and that's why we always say, don't just rely on the autoresponders, which are, they're personal to an extent, but they're pre-written, and, they're all the same for everybody. But, if you can personalize it yourself, and include, make sure you include an image of yourself, it just goes a long way to getting your prospects to feel more comfortable working with you and more comfortable feeling that you're a real person.
Yeah, basically, I think they call that branding yourself. And you can brand yourself. I've got about 4 people that I'm on their mailing list, and I love to open their emails up, especially 1 or 2 of these guys, because it's creative, it's interesting. What's he going to say this week? And I feel like, he's like famous to me in my world, because I've seen all his videos. He's got pictures and he has this creative stuff, and he provides content. And that's another thing we didn't talk about. You can provide content in your auto blast. Maybe you give them a tip put in there. So your subject area is hey Joe, did you know what the 3 secrets of success are? And maybe I even put a money thing, learn the 3 secrets to make 10K a month online. That mystery sandwich, people go, yeah, it's another BS thing, but what if it ain't? I better open this. And then you give them some content, step 1, step 2, step 3. Next thing you know, after 3, 4, 5 months of having 2 and 3 and 4 of these a week from John Novello, and seeing his picture and seeing a video, and man, this guy is really on top of it. He's really on. After a while, it just hits a person one day. Oh, they're having a sale. Maybe I can scrape up $1,000. And there's your sale from your pipeline. And that didn't happen overnight. You pounded that guy, didn't even know it, so. Train yourself. When I started, Steve knows this, I got on that training site and I went through my own orientation. I went through every single menu and every sub menu, just to see what was there. And I was amazed. I went, my God, there's more content here than if you went to college to major in digital marketing or e-commerce. I don't think you get all the data that's on this website. Then I went to the Top Tier Talk. I went, my God, they've got years of archived videos on how to make this business successful. So every day I'd sit down there and watch one of these 20-minute sessions, and I learned so much so quickly. And that was such an amazing part of my success. No matter how many times I tell people that, I rarely ever run across anybody who's done what I just said. They'll just maybe occasionally go to a top tier webinar or attend a couple. And that doesn't cut it as compared to absorbing yourself into this whole business and learning everything you can. So train yourself is extremely important. And there's an FAQ with all kinds of answers for prospects that you yourself should get familiar in the different ways to generate leads on the website. I think there's like 7 or 8 different ways to generate leads. Although I predominantly have used Craigslist and have been successful at that, there's purchased leads, there's pay-per-click, there's taking out ads in magazines, impression marketing, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. There's all kinds of ways, and you never know which one that you may gravitate to. So it's good to know all the different ways to generate leads, not just, do one thing. But the next one is we say this all the time, and I think people think this is impossible, but it's not if you break it down. 100 leads a month. If you can generate 100 leads a month and direct them, whether you're calling them or whether you're just simply directing them right to your capture page, to your website, it's impossible not to make a sale because it is a numbers game. You're going to go through a lot of no's, but if you only, I had this one guy after 7 months, and he was very upset with me. He wanted his money back. I shouldn't say that, but he wanted his money back. He generated in 7 months, you ready for this? 14 leads. So that's like 2 leads a month. And even
In his
out
mind,
of those, what?
I was going to say, in his mind, he thought, well, he's been there 7 months. He should have a sale by now, not factoring in the production that's required.
Yeah, exactly. And out of those 7, out of those 14, 4 of them were flakes. I think 9 of them were actual people that we interviewed and got to the site. And 3 of them actually had 3-way calls. And out of the 3, 2 of them were sold, loved the business, but were broke. And so that means they could be coming in 2 weeks from now or 6 months from now. So I tried to explain them. I said, you actually have pretty good percentage stats out of 14 leads to have 3 of them go through the whole system and 2 of them are interested and in your pipeline. And that comes back to mindset. So he had such a negative mindset, negative mindset. I don't think the universe was going to ever have those 2 leads sign up with him. He didn't have good karma at all. But if you're generating 100 leads, imagine since he had 2 go through the system out of 14, that's 1/7. So if you generated 100, right, that's like, about almost 10 people that have had to follow up. And if you've had 10 times 7, which is 70 people that had a 3-way call, he probably would have had 2 or 3 sales and easily doubled and tripled his money. So don't treat this number loosely. If you did it on Craigslist ads only, you'd have to usually take out 3 Craigslist ads a week times 4 is 12. And, if you generated, 5 leads on each ad that were interested, that's 60 leads right there. And if you bought a few leads, there's all kinds
short.
of.
Yeah, you probably want to do 5 Craigslist ads a week now.
Yeah.
The way the
Now it's
market's
a little
been
heavier
to get to this number. If you're just doing Craigslist, but yeah, if you're doing other things as well, then certainly. But yeah, ever since I've been in this business, when I first got online, I joined a training company that taught you how to market online, and the big focus is just always be generating leads. Like, don't stop, because that's what's building your pipeline, and that's where you're going to find, there's gold in there somewhere, but you just got to keep going through the numbers. I just want to wrap up since we're at the bottom of the hour, but I do want to also say, because this came up this week, make sure that you are set up to receive payments. Make sure you know how you're going to get paid, because you're going to make sales, right? If you've never made a sale before, you're going to make sales, and you're going to have that person go, hey, yeah, I want to get started. How do I pay? You better have a good answer, right? You better know. So, if you're new or whatever, make sure you get set up now. Set yourself up with a business PayPal account. Set yourself up with, make sure you know if your bank accepts Zelle, or, make sure you know these various apps, whether it's Apple Pay or Google Pay or Cash App or whatever. There's lots of different ways to get paid nowadays. Have your bank's wiring instructions. Be prepared, because this guy, it was a prospect for one of my reps, and he emailed me. It came out of the woodwork 6 months later or whatever since we had talked to him, but he's still thinking about getting started, and he's like, the rep that I have, he is only willing to accept cashier's checks. Well, and that's fine. It's your business. Do what you want. This guy only wants to pay with a credit card. So there's going to be an issue. So you'll want to be able to accept payment in as many different ways as possible, so that you don't end up losing sales because, you know, they don't have the cash, but they want to put it on a credit card, and you can't accept a credit card. You can accept credit cards through these, through these apps, so that's a way to process a credit card without having a merchant account, without having to deal with PayPal.
Yeah, it used to be a long time ago, you had to have a merchant account. Those were hard to get. And I do have one, but nowadays you don't have to go through all those hoops.
Yeah, it's hard to, I use PayPal and I have no issues whatsoever, but for new people, they seem to have issues with it. For, PayPal maybe has gotten stricter or something, and I'm grandfathered in, and John's probably grandfathered in too, but these apps don't look at that stuff, so, make sure that you know how to use them, and you have accounts and all that good stuff. But,
Yeah.
Anywho, those are the things you got to do, man, to make money in this business. And the other thing is, don't quit. Keep at it. That's a big part of success, because your first sale is always the hardest, right? So if you've never made a sale, making that first one's the hardest. It just is. And then once you make that first sale, then you're gonna be oozing with confidence. You're gonna be so excited. That's gonna come across in all of your communications with your prospects, and making sales is just going to be so much easier after that. So, yeah, just keep at it, keep doing these things, and it'll definitely happen for you. All right.
Right, and remember to follow up with your prospects too. Fortune's in the follow-up, so keep following up with anybody that's in your pipeline with those blasts, or making a phone call, or send them a text, that kind of stuff.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, guys, take care. Ciao.